owls, you know. Always saw the snowy owls. That's my favorite.
Oh, it was beautiful. At the yeah, at the show. Yeah, no, not real. No.
It's a pizza bar.
I mean, they do come in to watch you. Now I know I joked against you.
I'm from
Yeah.
but it was way closer than I've ever been to the snowy owl.
So the snowy owl is in Johnson's Audubon's.
Yeah.
All right, good afternoon. We got a full house. Welcome. My name is Jim Herkert. I'm the director of the Illinois Audubon Society, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to our 19th annual Bald Eagle Watch Weekend. This is a big year for Illinois Audubon Society. 2017 is our 120th year in existence. We're Illinois' oldest conservation organization, and our mission is to promote the perpetuation and appreciation of birds, wildlife, and the habitats that they need to exist. One of the ways that we do that is we host events such as this, our Bald Eagle Weekend, where we give folks a chance to come and learn a little bit about birds and wildlife and other things, and even better, get out hopefully and see some actual eagles. So how many people have seen an eagle today? That's awesome. That's really, really cool. So in addition to doing programs like this, we also do land protection. And one of our land protection projects is right out that window. It's Plum Island. When you look out in the river, there's an island right there. Several years ago, that island was threatened with potential development. Illinois Audubon stepped up. We purchased that island, and now we've protected it to make sure that eagles and birds and wildlife and other things that want to use that can without interference. And this year, we're thrilled to learn that bald eagles have started building a nest on that island. So we're very hopeful that this spring we're going to have nesting bald eagles on there. We're a member-based organization, so those of you that are members of Illinois Audubon Society, thank you. And those that aren't, we've got a booth out back, stop by, and we can tell you a little bit more about what we do and how we do it and where we're doing it. The events today are sponsored by Ameren, so we're very happy to recognize Ameren and thank them for their sponsorship. We also want to recognize Ameren for their dedication and the work that they've been doing in trying to reduce avian mortality in their power lines. They're doing some really interesting things. If you want to learn a little bit more about it, they've got a great exhibit out here right outside the door where you can come and learn some more things about some of the really, really cool things that they're doing. So with us from Ameren, we've got Carl Fisher, and we've got Kenny Plum, and lightning go out. So again, we thank Ameren for their support today, and with that, we're going to turn over the stars of the show from the Illinois Raptor Center. We've got Jack and Jake.
It's like Louie's eyes are just staring at me. Like his eyes are just following me wherever I go. Yeah. I don't know what I did. So once again, I'm Jack Nuzzo. This is Jane Seitz. I'm the program director for the Illinois Raptor Center. Jane is the executive director for that Raptor Center. I just, last year, I turned 45. Yeah, that's what I did. It's all right. I understand. It's funny because when I turned 20, I remember like friends and family was like, "Oh man, you get your whole life's ahead of you. Yeah, don't do what you want to do." And I turned 45. I'm like, "Oh, dude, you're just downhill from here." I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's horrible." Oh, no, it's not. And so they're like, "Yeah, well, you're gonna forget stuff." And I'm like, really? Like, because that scares me a little bit, because I like birds. I got all this bird stuff. Like, oh, no, you're not going to forget the bird stuff. You're just going to forget, like, to put your pants on and stuff. Well, that's all right. I'm not going to deal with that. But since I turned 45, I catch myself, something weird has been happening. And so, you know, the Raptor Center, we have a wildlife rehabilitation facility. We do raptor research. This is something new that we've gotten into in the last 2 years. So we do programs. And we talk to a lot of people at school groups and Audubon societies. And it literally happened yesterday. I caught myself keep catching myself doing this. And so, you know, you got some kid coming out and he's like, blah, blah, blah. And you bend over and you go, well, back in my day, I never dreamed those words would ever come out of my mouth. I just never dreamed that. And so during the program, you're going to hear me mention stuff like that quite a bit. You're going to hear me mention, well, when I was a kid, blah, blah. And funny thing is that in this field, it's considered kind of a no-no to say that. It's weird, but they don't refer to the past. But the funny thing is that I don't know how we cannot do it, and because we have a problem. And the problem is that a lot of our youth don't spend time outdoors like we used to. So back in my day, kids played outside. So some of this is directed for youth, some of this is directed for adults. If you're youth out there, some of this, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, just take a look at watch the adult. By the way, watching adults is hilarious. You should do it more often. They're one of the most incredible things. You just see some of the most fascinating things come out of them. So for example, youth in my day, back in my day, I swam in ponds. How many people ever did that? Not pools. A pond. Like pools were something the elite rich had. And I hiked. How many people hiked? Hunted, fished, climbed trees. Yeah, I still climb trees. I'm a recreational tree climber. I have the greatest job in the world, by the way, just because I can incorporate my hobbies actually work extremely well for my job. So I get to do things that I love. Jane is our executive director. Mainly what she does is manage money. She hates that because I'll go into her office and I'm like, I need $3,000 for climbing gear. And she goes, oh no, you're not doing that. Nope, that has nothing to do with us. And then I'm climbing into trees and put baby owls back in the nest. And she's like, dang it. And I'll go in there like, hey, we need a drone. No way, you're not getting a drone. And then we're looking into nests and stuff. So I grew up doing this stuff. People my age, older, we all grew up doing stuff outdoors. So that's kind of the basis for why I do what I do. I also believe that the greatest way to learn something is by experience. I grew up reading books. Yeah, that might be a strange term for some. They're really cool things. They don't need batteries. I grew up reading books and National Geographics and stuff, but I have a problem. It's not a major problem. I just don't retain information. But if you give me something, if I can experience something, I learn a lot better. Everybody learns better that way. Part of this program is designed to give you an experience with birds of prey, get them up close and personal. So I believe in learning by experience. I believe in living in the outdoors, and I had an outdoor experience when I was a kid that changed my life forever. Why do I do what I do? Why do I love what I do? It's because of something that happened when I was a kid. So I grew up outdoors. I had a different childhood than most people. My mom and dad are deaf. They can't hear. And so I grew up in a time where the technology was not all that great, and I was responsible for a lot of things in our household. So for example, if you ring the doorbell at a deaf person's house, they can't hear it. Today, they wire the doorbell into a light, so when you push on the doorbell, a light flashes on. The highest form of technology back in my day was kids. Parents had kids. And they were smart. They had 2 kids. And so my brother, I used to tease my brother all the time. I was like, you're just the backup kid, man. You're the primary kid. Anything happens to me, then it's up to you. So I grew up with deaf parents and a lot of responsibility, which translated into I could go outside and play quite a bit, but I couldn't leave the site at the front of our house because it was my job to see if anyone showed up at the house, and I had to let my parents know and stuff like that. And that really, really was kind of sad for me, because in my backyard, which is a 1 acre yard, it butted right up to 600 acres of woods. Let's say Creek Wildlife Refuge. And reading National Geographics and stuff, I had then imagined adventures in those woods. Elephants, I didn't know what was out there. And my mom was, my mom and dad both constantly were going, no, can't go in the woods, gotta stay here. Gotta watch the door. So years of this, finally, my mom figured I was old enough, maybe mature enough. She's like, okay, fine. One day she was like, quit pouting, you can go out there. I was like, really? She's like, yeah. So I'm also a gear junkie. I love gear. It's so funny because I was sitting out there earlier with a friend of mine, and I was watching people walk by, and he looked at me and goes, are you looking at women? And I was like, no, I'm looking at the packs they got. Check that out. And he's like, are you serious? I'm like, oh yeah, it's a sweet Mountain Smith pack. He's like, you got problems, man. So I grab my backpack, and I'm shoving stuff in there, food, water, G.I. Joe toys, whatever goes in there. And I start heading out the door. My mom stops me, and she says, wait. You can go out and play in the woods and stuff, but there's some rules. And I'm like, what do you mean, rules? You said I can go. She's like, no, you can go out there, but you can't go past the creek. So the creek my mom's talking about, if this edge of this stage represents, this is my backyard, and this is the start of 600 acres of woods, the creek my mom is talking about is right here. And it's not a creek, it's like a trench. And there's like a trickle, there's like one crawdad walking down this little trickle of water. So I'm standing there and I'm like, man, this is... There also comes a time in everyone's life where you make your first decision for yourself. And that was one of those days for me. Now trust me, I am not advocating for you not to listen to your parents. But trust me, back in my day, there were different consequences for that. But I made a decision. I decided to go past the creek and explore. I, being a child of the outdoor world, also was a collector. How many people were like that? How many people still have a rock collection to this day? Yeah. I would see cool stuff, pick it up, put it in the backpack. A deer skull, cool pine cone, dead possum. How many people's moms just said, that goes in the box. Don't put that in your room, put it in this box over here. So, also being a child of the outdoor world, I like animals because those are things that lived out there. I watched insects and stuff. So I go past this creek and I come up into this opening and there's this giant field. From a rural part of Decatur, very used to agriculture environment, but this was unlike any field I've ever seen before. Later on in my life, I would learn that this is called prairie. And this was an interesting habitat to me. It was very tall grass, it's kind of pretty. There were some cool insects in there. I mean, I saw some of the biggest cicadas in my life in there. I needed as a child, I was like, this is, the only thing I could call them, later they're prairie cicadas, but I called them Godzilla cicadas because they were so big. And I remember, it's also the first time in that field later on, was the first time I encountered blue racers. Anyone know what that is? What is a blue racer, young lady? It's a snake. And do you know, just by any chance, do you know the legend behind blue racers? What do they do? They're very fast, they live in prairies, they're the only blue snake we have, and there's this legend that if you chase one, it chases you back. I'm sidetracking here, sorry, but I have to tell you this blue racer story. I did not believe that, first of all, because my grandfather told me that. Mentors too, by the way, I had a lot of mentors. Grandpa was a mentor, but I couldn't trust Grandpa because sometimes Grandpa made me do things just because he wanted to see me do them. There wasn't really any reason why. Like he made me eat an apple once, the whole thing, but not the stem, because nobody eats the stem. I will never forget that. He was a nice guy, but he just liked seeing me do things. And he told me if you chase a blue racer, it'll chase you back. Now, sidetracking here, I remember later on, I just didn't believe him. My brother and I found a blue racer in the road, and we decided we would chase it. Blue racers are not venomous, they're not poisonous, but they are horribly aggressive. if you mess with them, they don't like you messing with them. So we chased this blue racer, and this is a true story. And we chased it through the front door of our neighbor's house. And we're standing there, and my brother was like, it's not coming back. I mean, to this day, I don't know what happened. I have no clue. Like, my brother was like, let's go eat lunch. I was like, all right, let's go. But actually, later on in life, when we bought some property, we bought an additional piece of property at the Raptor Center, and I found a blue racer laying on a log out there, and I got pretty excited because it was sunning itself. So I ran over to Jane's office, and I was like, hey, where's the video camera? And Jane was like, why? Why did we need the video camera? Because I make Jane nervous a lot. And she's like, why do we need the video camera? I was like, we're going to do an experiment. She's like, no, we're not doing experiments. No more experiments. And I was like, come on. She's like, what? What are we doing? So we went out, and I was like, want you to film this. I'm going to chase the blue racer. And she's like, what? And I was like, I'm going to chase the blue racer. You're going to film it. We're going to see if they chase you back. Because I've never seen that before. And so we did. We got the blue racer off the log, and it was going down the driveway, and it was moving along, and it stopped. And it like whipped around like a cobra, and it started coming back at me. And you got it all on film. I did not scream, I just voiced like concern. I didn't expect that. So, going back to our original story, here I am, 11 years old, I am in foreign territory, I have broken the rules, I'm seeing some cool stuff, snakes, insects, and stuff. And this is where the experience actually begins. Because I'm out there, and I'm just having the time of my life, and I hear this noise, cluck, 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 and I'm like, listening, and off in the distance you can hear this. And it's the clucking of a chicken. That's what it sounded like to me. And now I'm like a little worried, actually I'm horrified. Because I grew up in a rural part of Decatur, and there was a lady across the street that we bought our eggs from. She had chickens. But one of these chickens, we all knew him as the rooster. And if you've ever dealt with chickens, male roosters are the most evil thing ever to roam the face of this planet. This rooster attacked neighborhood kids for something to do on Sunday. That's how evil this creature was. Hated that thing. And I'm like, oh man, this chicken is out here. Oh. And then I hear cluck, 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 cluck. There's like a whole bunch of them. And I'm surrounded. And I'm just like, oh man, this is why Mom said don't go past the creek. This is where you go get killed by chicken. So I panicked. I started running out of the field, and I kind of tripped and fell, and the commotion of me hitting the ground scared up those clucking birds. And they weren't chickens. They were these. What? Ringneck pheasants. I've never actually heard anyone call them by their proper name. That's awesome. The ringneck pheasant. Pheasants! I've never seen pheasants before in my life. I'm laying on the ground, and these pheasants are taking a kind of explosive takeoff, and I was laying there going, man, what are those? And then as I'm looking up, I see a second bird. And this bird is bigger. And this bird, he is way up there. This bird, he's moving. Hold on, sorry. Yeah, this is a she, by the way. It's got an egg, sorry. This bird starts coming down. And I'm watching this bird descend, and it hits one of these pheasants in the air, and it hits it so hard, it made a sound. It was this collision. And they hit the ground, and they're like 10 feet away from me, and they're like staring at each other. And then they get into this fight. The pheasant kicks, the bird grabs, and they're fighting, and eventually this larger bird killed the pheasant. And it's sitting on top of the pheasant, and raptors do this thing where they spread their wings over their prey called mantling. So it mantles over the pheasant and starts plucking feathers out of it. And I'm laying there staring at this, and I'm thinking to myself, this is the coolest thing I have ever seen. I have never seen anything like this. So, I'm a collector. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to grab that bird. I'm going to grab it, I'm going to bring it home, I'm going to show everybody because I don't know how to explain this. So I roll over and I start crawling over to that bird, and it turns over its shoulder, and it gives me this look. And I stopped, and I was like, whoa, that is not a happy look at all. So I went home. I ran home. I got up, 11-year-old boy going to his deaf mother. I don't even know the sign language for this stuff. I know bird, I know chicken, chicken, bird. And my mom's like, what's wrong? I was like, something happened. I don't know how to explain what happened. And she's like, well, I don't do what you do your best. And I said, all right. There's a bunch of green-headed chickens, and this giant chicken came out of the sky and killed one. And my mom was like, and this all happened at the creek? And I was like, in the vicinity of it, in that area. She knew it affected me. She knew I had an experience. She knew it affected me. She knew she had to do something about it. So the next day she drove me to the Decatur Public Library. There in the children's section of the library, I met with the children's librarian. I relayed to her my story, and she said, well, that's easy. What you saw was a raptor. What you saw was a bird of prey. And she pulled a book off the shelf called My Side of the Mountain. And I read this book. That experience, that book, changed my life. I'm an outdoor person, Jane's an outdoor person. If you know me personally, this is what I do for a living. I love this, but there's actually things in nature I love more. I love trees a lot more than I love anything else. And my friends have before, many times said, why do you do birds? Well, there's several reasons. I had mentors in my life. My grandmother was the biggest influence to me on birds. As she taught me birds, it became my job. But what if I were to tell you that there's a really good reason why we do this, and it's a reason that deals with the fact that we are looking at some of the most wonderful indicators for how healthy ecosystems are. Well, let me put this in another way. We're going to start another story, and we're going to finish it later. 2 years ago, I had a fire in my apartment. Scariest night of my life. I don't know if anyone's ever been through a fire in their building, but there's like these stages you go through. Waking up, hearing some explosions, going, what was that? Smoke filling up in your apartment, and you just stand there and go, nope, this ain't happening. Nope, no fire. There's no fire. Then my smoke alarm goes off, and it warns me. And that's the moment I realized I probably need to get out of this building. So I got out of the building. Building was filling up with smoke. My best buddies are all firefighters. I've got 3 firefighter friends. They're all pulling up. And it's so funny because they all ran up to me and go, is your parrot okay? I'm like, I'm fine. Parrot's up there. And they're like, you're kidding. And they ran up there and got my parrot for me. The greatest guys in the face of the earth. But that smoke alarm saved my life. I didn't realize how serious it was until there was a warning system telling me to get out of the apartment. What if I were to tell you that nature has a warning device? Nature has a system in place to tell us when something wrong is happening. And if you know what you're doing, and if you've spent time outdoors, and you've done your research, you can hear this, visually see this happening. We will show you how that works later on. Jane will show you, we do have some live birds to try. Jane shows birds on the program. Birds are getting a little grumpy. It's getting near the end of the day. They're coming in and out. So's Jane. She's getting a little grumpy. It's getting
Come on, Jane.
And so she wears a gauntlet. I always explain this gauntlet thing because I just think people get some misconceptions about birds. Gauntlets are not there for protection. That bothers me when people, you gotta wear armor. No, that's not why that's there. We have a bird in our program that if she gets upset, and she doesn't normally, but she has before, if she gets upset because she doesn't like how something's going, she can punch right through a gauntlet. It's not fun. We've both experienced it in our life. Gauntlets are not there for protection. Mainly that's there to make Jane look cool during the program. That's pretty much what it's for. But actually what it does, it's actually there for the bird's comfort. It gives the bird a comfortable place to sit during the program. That's pretty much it. Some of these birds, Jane's gonna get out, walk around, get you up close and personal to it. So if you wanna take pictures, you can. If you wanna use a flash, you can. But we have 2 major rules. One, you gotta be in your seat. You can't stand up. Stay in your seat, ask someone to move if you have to, but please do not stand up, get out of your seat, run up to Jane, flash her in the face, and run away. And two, we ask that you please don't take any video of the program. All the pictures you want, use your flash, stay in your seat, just don't video anything. So I'm also a huge, oh boy, that was something happened there. I'm a huge proponent on IDing animals. I think it's important that we know how to properly ID stuff. My grandfather taught me, my grandmother taught me how to ID stuff properly. But I saw.
All right. Here we are. We're going to take a little evening hike.
Any of these you want to particularly go to?
You pick. Pick something. Well, it doesn't have to be very long, but.
No, we didn't go to the Wildcat Canyon.
All right.
See if we can find that from the bottom.
All right.
Or we could always go to the top of Starved Rock. Now, did you guys go to the top of Starved Rock when you were here the last time?
Yes. Well, did we? I don't know. We took a bunch of trails. We were here. We were hiked probably 6 hours that day. So I'm not sure how many we actually went on, or where we actually went, because we had a guy that we had met when we got here on one of the trails take us around. He says, "Oh, have you ever been here?" He goes, "I'll take you on all the good trails."
Oh, okay.
But I don't really know where we went. We just followed him.
That's a good way to go. Because you obviously got there and back.
Yes, yes. That was a good thing. We didn't have to worry about how to get back. He was very familiar.
Yeah, they don't change the trails.
No.
Down the valley we go. I'll let you know if you want to film.
Oh. Yes, we'll film the descent. The thing with these glasses, you got to try to keep your head as still as possible.
Okay.
So you look like a real nerd walking around.
You look at somebody trying to be inconspicuous?
Yeah, yeah.
By being conspicuous?
I'm trying not to look down at the steps.
Okay. Good luck.
Yeah, there we go. I had to look down at the first one.
You don't want to miss, that's for sure.
No. We're getting there.
We certainly are.
Try it. It takes practice not to look at the steps.
Oh, I bet. Especially when you're not familiar with the area.
You're right. That's my glove along the railing.
Are you filming the whole descent?
Yeah, the whole descent. Almost. A little bit more. Alright, I'll look down now. Alright. Excellent. Well, there's a little bit of a breeze down here, isn't there? Good thing I have your warm hat on. The only thing I wish these glasses had was a video stabilizer.
Okay.
It doesn't, and so yeah, if you the walking, if you really, even though I try to stay really still, it doesn't.
It's hard to do that.
Yeah. All right, which one?
Well, there's French Canyon we were in, but we could go to the bottom of that, but we didn't get to.
Oh, okay.
So from the French Canyon, then we can go to Wildcat Canyon, and we can just go back out.
Okay. Let's do it.
It's way less popular now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's not too many people walking. There's a couple up ahead, but you're right though, it's eerily quiet.
Mm-hmm. Well, this might be the time of night where you see something.
Maybe, I'm hoping.
Twilight is a good time.
Right.
A lot of grizzlies at night like that.
Yeah. So I'm hoping we're gonna run into.
Wolverines.
Wolverines are cool. Maybe some badgers. Maybe some yeti.
That snowy owl.
I bet this. You'll have to take a picture of me with these glasses and this hat on. It's got to be an
Probably
inch.
not, I'm trying to blend in.
It's got to be an interesting look. But these are photo gray, so they turn dark in the sun. So they look like more like sunglasses during the day then, which are not as obnoxious.
You can see you're blinking.
Yeah, yeah.
How much time do they videotape?
1 hour, so I'm sure I don't have a hell of a lot of time. Because I used probably half an hour maybe at the show until he says no more video or no videotaping.
Oh, you were probably videotaping his talk.
I was. What is that? Sand?
Looks like sand.
Yeah. Huh. Oh. That's the lights from the lodge up there?
I think so.
French Canyon / lodge. I remember taking some of these when I was here with the girls. I don't remember which ones, but
Oh, you had to be on all these.
yeah.
Once you get down here, this is all interconnected.
You have a flashlight with you?
I don't. It sure looks like a trail.
Yes.
This is the most trail looking, not a trail I've ever seen.
Hi. No fishing?
There's a lot of fish in there.
Hi.